Good morning, everyone. I know people are still joining. We'll give it a minute. Just before everybody joins, I just want to say today we have 3 copies of Cindy Norcott's book. The book's name is How Does She Do It? As prizes. And it's going to be based on your participation, particularly in the chat. So please feel free to ask questions during the session, but please put it in the chat. And after the session, we will moderate it and we will choose 3 people who has really made a nice input and who has participated. And you will then each win a book. So let's just give it a minute and see how many people there are, and then we'll start. Good. People are still joining, but I'm going to start. Otherwise, we're going to steal time from Cindy's presentation and discussion. So with that, I would like to say good morning, colleagues, friends, alumni, and students. My name is Ronel Blom, and I'm Academic Dean at REGENT Business School. It is such a pleasure to be engaging with you again today. The webinar topic this morning is such an important one, and it is Create Your Dream Career, the ABCs of Success. With me this morning is a great friend of REGENT, namely Ms. Cindy Norcott. Cindy is a regular guest at our webinars because she has such a wealth of knowledge to share. She's a motivational speaker, business coach, and CEO of 2 award-winning companies, namely Pro Talent and Pro Appointments. She's also the founder of a charity, the Robin Hood Foundation. And I believe that she's been very busy with the flood relief in the last few weeks. Thanks, Cindy, on behalf of everyone. So welcome back to you. You know, Cindy, when I looked at this topic, a few thoughts immediately sprang to mind. I honestly think that creating a dream career can only be achieved when we are deeply and personally invested in our careers. I've always found that people who see themselves as self-employed rather than employed are more likely to have fulfilling careers. If it matters to them, then the career is also going to become fulfilling. And then, of course, you get noticed. And when you get noticed, you achieve your dreams in terms of your career. So for us as an educational institution, it really is our task to nurture these habits through future-focused education that encourages lifelong learning. We should ultimately arm our students with lifelong curiosity. Imagine that. And a desire to continue developing. Then they will have fulfilling and rewarding careers. Ultimately, we should produce agile and savvy citizens that will be able to shape their own futures, not only for themselves, but for their employers and more broadly for their societies and the world. And to help us do exactly that, Cindy will talk about these tools that we can cultivate to create our dream careers. As I said before we start and hand over to Cindy, please put your questions, comments in the chat, and we will try and address as many of those as we can. And at the end, 3 lucky winners will win a copy each of Cindy's book. And the title of the book is How Does She Do It? So I'm going to hand over to Cindy. Cindy, welcome again. And the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blom. It's really wonderful to be here to chat to Regent's guests again. And yes, the subject is how do you create your dream career? And this morning I'm chatting on the A, B's, and C's of creating your career success. So I think the first point is to create your dream career, you need to start dreaming. I think so many people, and it's funny, I was chatting to Dr. Blom earlier, I think we're living in a space at the moment where many people have stopped dreaming and they're just existing. They're going through the motions. They're not terribly inspired by much at the moment. And for those of you who are in KZN, we're just talking, there's been flooding, there's been you know, lack of water, electricity. So for a lot of people, life is so frustrating, they don't feel inspired and they don't feel inspired to dream. But one thing I know as a professional dreamer is that we get what we dream about and we get what we work for. So I want to chat to you about what I consider the A's, B's, and C's. So the first thing is your attitude. And you might go, I thought you were going to talk about skills and knowledge and abilities. But no, I want to talk to you about the soft stuff that you are responsible for. And that if I'm hoping you've got a pen and paper, because I want to talk to you about real practical things I've done, things that, you know, that I've taught people in lectures, and also people I've coached. I also run a recruitment company. I've been doing recruitment for over 30 years. So I'm dealing with job seekers. I'm dealing with people who are trying to grow their careers. And often it is so clear to me what they're doing wrong, but not clear to themselves. So I'm really hoping you're going to take a lot of tips away. So the first question is, if you're not as successful as you thought you would be by this age and stage, have you wondered why? Have you maybe asked yourself, what am I doing wrong, or what can I control? What I'm finding is when I'm interviewing candidates who are saying, you know, I'm leaving my company because they're not promoting me, they don't see my worth, or I'm looking for a job, but nobody wants to hire me. Often, you know, I'm seeing things that they're not seeing. So for me, I think a few questions I want to ask you and a few pointers. The one is, how do you come across by others in life? How do others see you? How do you portray yourself? Whether it's in an interview, whether you're working for someone, how do you show up every day? And that really is your attitude. Your attitude is how you think. It's how you behave. It's how you present yourself in the workplace. And some people have never really sat there and consciously thought, am I portraying the best attitude? Or is it something I just arrive, I pitch and I play, but I haven't never really thought about, is my attitude the best attitude? And remember, in life, we are judged by the little things. Years ago, I flew to Zimbabwe on a plane, and I was so nervous about this flight because firstly, the plane was late because they had engine trouble. And then when we got on the plane, my seat wasn't actually screwed into the plane. It was wobbling. It had one screw. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh. And then it was quite dirty. So I judged it by what I heard about the engine, about the seat that wasn't screwed in, and the dirty, the upholstery. And so I decided that this wasn't a great airline to be flying with. And often people will judge us by those little things at work. So I just wanted to share with you some thoughts I had on what you might be doing very, very unconsciously or subconsciously without even realizing it, that could be standing in your way of having this dream career. And it could be creating the impression that you might not have the most positive attitude, even though you might feel that you're quite neutral or even happy. So the one thing is negative body language. And if you think about it, your body language is got to be symmetrical. So if I just do something little here, if you can only see me, but I go, anything like that, you know, will show that I'm not in agreement necessarily, or that I have a negative body language. Not making eye contact. You know, sometimes I have managers who speak to me and they say, you know, we have Zoom meetings with our staff and they don't respond. They don't make eye contact. We have staff meetings. We've got people who never speak up in a meeting. That indicates attitude. So for me, I have a saying, if somebody attends a meeting and they do not speak, they do not say anything, why are they there? So if you are called into a meeting or part of a meeting, make your presence known, be visible, say something relevant, and add value to the meeting. Don't just be a silent participant. So what I've realized, successful people in life are never silent participants. They add value, they're confident, they make themselves known and make their presence felt, and they add value. Smiling, I know it sounds crazy, but you know, when you walk into work, or if you're on a Zoom call and you say, how are you? And somebody goes, I'm fine. Tell your face that. You know, I really think it's important that we show some enthusiasm. And you know what I hear from many, many employees is they're saying, I'm waiting for my boss to inspire me. My boss's job is to make me happy. No, nobody's job is to make you happy at work. You need to make yourself happy at work. And, you know, there's a saying, you know, a lot of people feel that they don't smile because they're not happy. But a lot of people, sometimes if you smile, you become happy. So take ownership. That's part of your own attitude. So when you're going in for an interview, smile. When you're walking into that staff meeting, when you're seeing a client, smile, make eye contact, person to person. And if you think about it, we're living in a very isolated time. Many of us are working from home, we're ordering online, we have less and less people contact. But if your job is related to working with people, show those people skills. Make sure that people find you a likable person. And also another way you can show likability is also mirroring someone. So say I speak fast, which I do, and you speak very slowly, but you're my client and I'm trying to impress you. I would try and slow down my speech so that you don't find me at a different energy bracket. And if you are, if you like facts, I'm not going to waffle along. I'm going to try and give you the facts. Things that people do that they don't even realize could have a negative impact. Walking slowly, doing things very slowly. It's often seen as a sign of silent sabotage and lack of job satisfaction. If any of you have ever been to a government department or a business, and you go there and you go to see a teller or a customer service person, and they are slow and they don't look up at you, don't make people wait. Don't make your boss wait when you're in a meeting. Don't make the interviewer wait when you go for an interview. You want to create your dream career. So apparently they've done research, and when people were made to wait about 30 to 45 seconds and then were interviewed afterwards, how long did you wait for? Most people thought that they'd waited over 3 minutes. So we don't want to be those people who are sabotaging our careers by making people wait. Apparently, here's a little tip. If you are wearing a mask and you see someone, now you could just wear your mask and smile. But now imagine you see somebody and you're not sure if you know them or not. This is a tip I learned from a friend of mine, David Allen. He said, what you do is you raise your eyebrows and it shows recognition. And I think it's wonderful. People don't feel invisible. I've been in the shop sometimes and seen other people in masks and thought, is it that person or not? But I think it's so important that we connect with people. We want to be visible. We want to be known. We want to be recognized as well. I also think your body language, like when the boss walks in, you walk away, or, I think, it's an important attitude to have, that you don't feel intimidated by people in superior positions. You are a person, they are a person, you have different roles. But I find when people put their bosses on a pedestal or develop an us versus them mentality, it's often very difficult then for them to feel that they can actually connect and relate to their boss. So don't do that. And also sitting. You're sitting at a desk. Most of us are slouched over. We've got terrible posture, but it doesn't create a posture of confidence. So sit back, sit upright, sit forward, look engaged, shuffling, hunched, just weird body language. And then another thing that employers are really, really excited about is when they get somebody who never says, that's not my job. But the people that say, I'll do what it takes. So yeah, sure, no problem. They'll volunteer for extra things. They'll do whatever it takes. I think that's important. So a question to ask you is, are you volunteering? Are you volunteering to do the dirty work? And I love that saying. It says, a great man is always prepared to be little. So, are you prepared to do what it takes? And for myself, I'm an entrepreneur. Our company is lean and mean. And I love when I interview a candidate and they say, I will do whatever it takes. I think that's what I'm looking for. Things that employers don't like, and you might not even realize, but people who come late all the time, if you are coming to work or you're going to meetings, be early, be on time. For a lot of companies, if you're on time, you're late. They want you to be early. So work out what the system is of the organization. What are the values that they hold in high regard? Sometimes people go, I don't know what the problem is. It's 3 minutes. But if that's the little bugbear of your boss or the organization, can you humble yourself and say, you know what, I know it's not an important thing to me, but it's an important thing to the person that I report to. And I don't want to put a target on my back, or I don't want to put a little cross against my name. So people who are frequent absences, you can never find them. People who are always late, who always leave early, and people, who just are taking constant smoke breaks. Those are people that often are creating that negative impression of an attitude of, are they committed? Are they really committed? And, during the last year, through COVID and through the looting, what I noticed from employers that I dealt with, a lot of companies were asking themselves hard questions. And some of you might have even been victims of this, maybe not even due to your own fault. But the question is, if we were to start a company again, who and what would we take with us? You want to make sure that you are completely and utterly indispensable because you've got the best attitude, because you work well, because you're willing, you've got a great enthusiasm and energy in your workplace. Now, let me tell you, I know many, many companies who got rid of people who could do the work, but they just weren't that awesome. Their attitude wasn't that awesome. They didn't appear to be energized, committed, or even excited about being part of the company. So we don't want to convey those kind of impressions. Also, you know, people will convey this as an attitude issue because it's not a performance issue or a skill issue, but missing deadlines. You know, yes, sure, I can meet the deadline and then continuously missing deadlines. Another sign of not a great attitude is when you constantly reverse delegate. So your boss says, do this, and you say, sure, and then you go, I haven't done it. So one question, or one thing that many, many bosses hate is when they have an employee who's under their command and they ask them to do something. And then when they follow up, the person says, but I called them, but I emailed them. Your job is to follow up the whole way through that process, not to just do one step. And I think sometimes people don't really see that. They think, well, I've done the first step. Surely that was enough. Sloppy work, you know, sending emails with spelling mistakes, doing a half job. So I think what Dr. Blom was alluding to there as well is we want to create every job we do is our business. So it's like I'm creating a mini career here. I sign my name on my work. I don't do this according to the company standards because mine are higher. I am my own little mini enterprise in an organization. So, you know, we talk about entrepreneurs, but there's a word that I love, intrapreneurs. So I'm running my desk like a business. And if I were to outsource it, I would be in business because people would want me. And other signs of very bad attitude are things like being unsupportive of the boss, unsupportive of company procedures, and the gossiping and the water cooler talk. So we don't want that. We don't want to do those things that that small minds, you know, are involved with. We want to show that we are committed. And then if we're not committed, for instance, if we feel, gosh, I really dislike what my manager has said, go through the right channels. Don't speak to a colleague, speak to somebody who can make it a decision and who can maybe make a difference rather than yourself doing, you know, just putting in, piping in, but not having a solution. I think that's so important. And I think, how do you show a positive attitude? I think it's things that I look for, energy and enthusiasm. You know, somebody who's kind of just with it, they go the extra mile. And you know how many people I interview and I say, tell me your strength. And they say, I go the extra mile. And I'll say, give me an example in the last 3 months in your job where you did something where you were not paid. You did something after hours. You did something that was not part of your job description. You know, many candidates can't think of an answer because you know what? They are just not even necessarily going the mile. So we need to make sure that we are going the mile and going that extra mile. And then, as I said, bring your body, your mind, and your soul to work, not just your body. And that's what engagement is. You know, there's research in South African companies. Many South African companies have less than 10% engagement from their staff. Some people are so actively disengaged that they're sabotaging the business. So my piece of advice is every day do something you're not paid for. And then if I would say to you, attitude's so important. You know how often people say, I haven't been promoted, I'm leaving, you know, I've been there 3 years, they don't value me. And then I say to them, what have you achieved in that time? So your promotion in your career won't be due to tenure, to how many years you've been there. It will be due to achievements and it'll be due to the value you add to your company. So a question to ask yourself is, I am in a job. Is there anything else I can do to add value? And then another tip, if you are looking for an increase, and everybody wants an increase, let's be honest, don't go to your boss and say, I want an increase. Maybe go to your boss and say, I've gotten two things. One is I've got some ideas on how I can add extra value to the company. And by doing that, I hope to get an increase and be paid more. Or another approach is to do extra things for the company and then go to your boss to say, listen, I know my job is X, but I've been doing X plus Y, and I would love you to consider me for an increase. I think that's an important way of thinking in terms of attitude. Now, if you also ask yourself, well, I'm not that excited about it, and you've got a negative vibe in your organization, which often happens, how do you change that around? Because everybody around you is toxic or negative or disengaged.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have a session and you ask that question, 10 good reasons to work here. Try and put that together in a meeting. I think that's so important. And
I want to interject there, Cindy, because there's been a lot of comments, and one of the comments actually touched on the point that you just made, is what do you do if it's a really toxic environment, or what do you do if the general manager doesn't even look at you, never mind smiles or greets you, so how do you deal with that?
Well, there's a saying, you're not a tree, you can move. And I think sometimes people feel that they are trapped. And I think it's to own your power, to say, you know what, if I'm working in a company and I'm not happy, okay, I might not be able to just find a job straight away, but am I trapped? Maybe I am. If I am, I have a choice. I can either not let it bug me, and I can kind of create a little bit of a boundary around myself where I go, it's not about me. I'm not personalizing this, because this manager is actually mean to everybody. Shame, what a terrible person. But I'm going to try and find one or two positive people around me, or I'm going to try and find one or two people in my personal life who can literally add in some positivity towards me. But then I would also say, why are you tolerating that? If you find out, you get that feeling, I'm sure many of us have had it, oh my gosh, 5 more days, I have to go to work for 5 days and face this, and the only time we're happy is on Friday night and at the start of holidays. Then I think it's time that you started looking elsewhere for another opportunity, put yourself out there, and then make yourself employable. Are you growing your talents and your skills and your abilities? But I often meet people who say, I hate what I do, what 5 years to retirement, I'll just sit here. And I think, why would you have 5 miserable more years?
5 years of sitting. Oh, no.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Listen, shall we pause and maybe look at some of the comments? Because there's been lovely comments, and I do think, they are useful. So let me just get to some of the first ones. So Raheel has been contributing a lot. And we'll just start with that first one. Sure, you can see we've had a lot of actually such nice. Yeah, this is what I like this comment. True about dreams, they need to be vivid with positive emotions attached. Be able to see it in your mind's eye. I visioned my job, salary, place to stay, type of boss, etc. all came to fruition. That's brilliant. I mean, I think that is just fantastic. So this is the question about, toxic people around me. There's a lot of negative people around me. How do I keep being positive? I always say that if somebody is your enemy, make that person your best friend. So keep them close, make, smile. Be friendly. It's almost, it's irresistible. If somebody is friendly to you, it's irresistible. You can't be unfriendly back. You have to at least give a little smile.
I heard a quote the one day, and it says, find the hardest person to love and love them anyway, and you will make a friend for life. And if I look over my 30 years in business, I've met many difficult clients that were very, very unlovable. And I just gave them the benefit of the doubt and constantly just showed them respect and kindness. And now they've become great friends and incredibly loyal people. So I think, it is difficult. Some cultures in some companies are toxic. Some bosses do not deserve their jobs. They're terrible leaders. And, unfortunately, I would say, like life is short. You want to work somewhere awesome. So, try and then get yourself in a position where you can say, this is temporary. I can handle this for a while because I know I can find something else. But also, if anyone on this call is a boss, and if anyone is working in a company, you know, there's a psychology of greeting. So it's, imagine if you were living at home and somebody a visitor came into your lounge and you just sat there and watched the TV and you didn't say hello. That would be so rude. I think we need to apply that in our workplaces. So when you walk in, regardless of your station, but especially if you're the manager, you know, you're not immune to manners. So I would say greet everyone upon arrival, and change the greeting to everyone, not hi everyone, hi Cindy, how are you? Hi Dr. Blom, how was your weekend? You know, things are terrible, don't go, oh, that's fantastic, and walk off, listen to the reply. And then when you leave, that helps solidify a culture in a company. And it also shows that everybody is part of the team. I think that's important. I saw a question here about different beliefs about eye contact because of culture.
So, yes, you want to respond to that?
Sensitive topic, you know, but I think it's an important thing that when you go for an interview, you know, that you do appear confident. Obviously, you want to appear respectful and you want to be respectful, but I think it is important to convey as much confidence as one can in an interview. And obviously, we all have different cultural backgrounds, but I think it's important to ask yourself, who's interviewing me and how would they think that I should appear confident? So I think it's sometimes tailoring our approach to the people in the room. But I think I want to move on to branding, the B, because some of the questions are related to the word B for branding. And I don't know if you've ever thought of yourself as a brand, but each one of us, we don't have a brand, we are a brand. So what is a brand? Because we think of, if I said to you, you could buy a City Golf, okay, you're going to win a car, okay? It's a City Golf, or you're going to win a BMW. And you can choose which one. Most reasons, but possibly because it's got a better brand. I could say you can win a shopping spree at OK Bazaars, or you can go to Woolworths and you can fill 5 trolleys. Which one would you go for? So it's about brand recognition. So what we need to understand, and this is something I've been working with my teenage daughters, is you start now with your brand. So if you think, go back to when you were at school, you got reports, you showed the teachers who you were by daily repetitive acts. So what is a reputation? Repeated acts of credibility. So how you do things every day is part of your brand. What 5 words would people describe you as? And do you like those words? You might find that actually I'm too serious, I'm too lazy, I'm too quiet, I'm too shy. Okay, so then I want you to ask yourself, what 5 words would you like people to describe you as? Because those are the words that you know will get you to where you want to be. Obviously, there can't be words that are so polar opposite to who you are that people wouldn't recognize them. But then they should also be related to your top values. So for me, I like to be kind. I'm driven. Achievement is one of my top values. I love success. You're hardworking. And anyone who knows me knows those things are true. So I think with your brand, I want you to look at various things, and I'm going to share some little tips with you, but you don't want a variance between what you say in your CV and who you are, or the variance between how you project yourself on Monday morning and how you are on Friday night and how you are on the weekend. They're 3 different people. People don't, so the important thing about a brand is congruence. How I say I am is how I appear, but also consistency is another thing. So that if you saw me regardless, you would say, oh, that's Cindy, that is who she is, that makes sense. So I think when we work on our brands, I think we need to be incredibly intentional. What are those my top 5 values? How do I want to be seen? And then how do I act in a way that is in line with how I want to be seen? But it's not just even your acting, it's how you dress, it's how you show up. It's part of your attitude. That attitude is part of your brand. It's the work you deliver. Remember, people will judge you by the little things. So imagine if I sat here and I was in my pajamas and you were like, this is an expert and I've got the dogs and the, I don't know, you would probably be thinking, oh my gosh, she's not very professional. And sometimes that's what we're doing. We are giving the wrong brand. So I would encourage you to write down those 5 words. Understand that every single thing you do or don't do in your day, in your life, is either building your brand or destroying your brand. Nothing keeps you in the middle. So here's the question this morning. I mean, it's now 11:30. What have you done today to build your brand? What have you done today to destroy your brand? Did you come in late? Were you rude? Did you gossip? Or were you that person who's done the extra mile and gone something? And if you could see that every day matters and every action matters, suddenly it's so important to be intentional, but also to go, I own the power. It's not up to my boss or up to the organization or the powers that be, but every day I can do something to grow my brand. I'm going to put a really cool post on LinkedIn about what I've learned from this webinar and share with my colleagues 5 things that I've learned. I'm actually, my boss has been really good to me. I'm going to actually send him or her a thank you note to say, I just want to tell you, I was at a seminar this morning or at a webinar, and it made me realize how good you are to me. And I just want to say thank you. There's a saying, bosses need love too. But you might say, no, that's schluppy. I'm not going to do that. That seems like, the things. But you know what? Sometimes we've got to work the system. What does the system need? Let us work the system. It's that simple. Another thing, your behavior out of the office as well can be such a brand breaker and a brand destroyer. I have fired so many people before I've hired them by social media stalking. So I like their CV, I like their LinkedIn profile, I like them in the interview. I have a look at what they do on social media and I think, this person's not nice. And then, I don't bring them in. So they didn't even have a chance, or they don't get a second chance. They don't meet the clients because their brand is so shocking. So I would encourage you, look at how you come to work. Look at how you show up at your Zoom meetings, whatever it is. Is there a better background you can use? Is there a better way that you can present yourself? Is there a better way that you can, whatever you are producing, is there an extra 10%? I'm not saying 200%, 10%. Is there a way I can be 10% friendlier, 10% earlier, 10% more responsive, 10% neater? Whatever that thing is that would make a difference to your brand, do that. That's on you. That's not on the company. Yeah. And I think as long as we understand that our brand is everything we say, everything we do, everything we deliver, I think that's an important thing. So it's absolutely everything you do, and nothing is going to be like, oh, that's a free pass. So I think it's like BMW. They create a beautiful vehicle, but it's got a big problem, and they go, we don't care. They have to care because it's part of their brand promise. So I think that's
Cindy, I'm going to interject because there's something that I think is really important. And there's somebody who asked, is it ever too late for somebody to recreate their brand?
No, it's never too late. But let me tell you something. It takes a long time to improve a bad brand. And I'm going to give you an example of not a bad brand, but my daughter used to sing at school. She'd walk in the passages and she'd sing and sing and sing. She's starting to be a performer now. But at the time, everyone used to say, oh, you're so annoying. You sing in the passage. And so she stopped. She stopped for 2 years. She never sang in the passage, okay? Then the one day, some teacher saw her and said, oh, yes, you're the girl who always sings in the passage. And she said, Mom, I'm so frustrated because I haven't sung for 2 years. And I said, well, it's stuff that you did that made people, that it created a hook, and that's how they remembered you. So it's very hard to change a bad brand, but the best time to start was 5 years ago. The second best time is today, is to say, so what are the things I'm going to stop doing? What were the things in my brand or in my behavior or in my delivery that I'm not proud of, and how do I change that? And sometimes it's even a thing of talking to somebody, to your boss, and say, listen, I've had a realization that I don't think I've been as supportive or as reliable, and I'm making a commitment, and I want to apologize. I want to change, and I want you to hold me accountable. Let me tell you, the boss would be like, okay, I'm interested in helping you. So I think it's so important.
Yeah. Okay, so I think, there are lots of comments about the social media, and I think a lot of people agree, that is, of course, that's where you can trip yourself up terribly. So for example, Theo says, be careful how you use social media. Hate speech and cyberbullying will make you lose a good job. Totally.
Absolutely.
So,
I would not tolerate any of that. I wouldn't even bring a candidate in if I saw any of those things ever. And to me, it's a complete deal breaker. Yeah.
You can also improve your social media brand, most certainly. I mean, fortunately, social media is quite short-lived, you know, so it doesn't disappear, but it certainly can be replaced with more positive imaging of yourself and who you are and so on. So, yeah. Okay. There are lots of comments that really now got people talking about the social media. I think people have had some painful experiences.
Yes, yes.
Right. Yeah.
I saw something by Wanda Seeley here and said, how can one address the lack of professionalism in the most professional way at the workplace? And I think we need to start creating cultures where we've got open communication. So when we speak about something like that, we have permission to, because it's done in a way of love, not in a way of criticism, to say, hey guys, you know, over the last 2 years, we've you know how many companies have lost their professionalism in the last 2 years. People are dressing in anything, they're not showing up, they're not as engaged, their delivery is shocking. And so, you know, I think it should be acceptable and something revered, where you have an environment where you can say, okay, we need to have an honest conversation, we need to up our game. And then I think if you wanted to address it to a team and you aren't the boss or the manager, maybe to even use yourself as an example. I've noticed that, you know, I don't wear makeup to work anymore, or I've been coming in late, or I've been missing Zoom meetings, or I haven't been as friendly as usual, and I've realized that's not professional. So this is what I'm going to do. Let's have a brainstorming session on how can we raise the bar, because I feel it's dropped a little bit in the last few years. I think that could work. And then somebody was saying we need counseling, because we, you know, and oh gosh, I'm such a fan of that. If anyone is sitting here thinking, I feel numb inside, I feel so depressed, I feel like all these things, I understand it, but I don't have it in me to do it, then now is the time to chat to a doctor, chat to a counselor, chat to a mentor, chat to somebody. Don't bottle things up. I don't think it's a good thing to do. And I said, yes, use the right channel. So I think that's important. I'd also like to move on to the C, if you're happy with that. Is that all right?
Yeah. And then maybe just a quick comment about
Yes.
social media, because that has created such a lot of interaction. So Sweet Boy said, social media is my space where I can do what I like at that space. That cannot be used to determine whether I'm good or not for a particular job. So he doesn't agree with that sentiment. Just maybe a comment on that.
And keep it private. Keep it private for your friends, and don't let me see it. Because I agree with you. Sometimes we need a place to vent, and I totally understand it, but then don't let the general public see it. Don't let your future boss see it, because they might just see that you are difficult, aggressive, you know, welcoming conflict all the time, miserable. I don't know, whatever it is that, and let's be honest, we all like to have a little rant, but we need to pick the people and we need to pick the platforms. You know, and I think, you know, something I heard about social media is just be careful that you value your privacy more than your popularity. Sometimes some things don't need to go there. I think that's so important. And I see Israel said his 5 words are funny, critical thinker, problem solver, disciplined, and punctual. Love it. Absolutely love it. I think that's so important.
Totally agree.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So there's some people here that agree. So Clarissa says, privacy settings are important, especially if you're an opinionated, confrontational person. You can't be venting on social media. No, I agree with you. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go.
I think just be careful with the social media, because you might disagree with me, but then my question is, how is that working for you? Are you finding that you're not being employed? Or are you finding you're not being promoted? You might just find that somebody, you know, you might not even know that you've lost an opportunity. And that's what I'm here, not to say whether it's right or wrong, but to give you the best chance of success in your career. So you might be doing something and you think, well, I don't care. But if you're in a position where you're wanting people to see your brand in its entirety, you might find that it does work against you. I think yeah, so I think it is an important thing to just bear in mind if you want to take your career seriously. And, you know, remember that some people are doing jobs that are related to social media. So it is important that people, so if you're a digital marketing person or that, I think, yeah, so I think that's an important thing. But let's just move on to the C, which I think for me stands for confidence, because, you know, I remember when I was younger and working and going for interviews, I lacked so much confidence. I went for interviews, I'd get all blotchy, I wouldn't know what to say. And I used to walk away from interviews going, oh my gosh, I know I blew it. I know that I didn't portray my best thing. So I want to ask you a question for each of you sitting in the audience at home, just to ask yourself, if I said to you, by the end of 2022, do you want to say that you are happy, healthy, successful, and confident? I think you'd all agree, yes, I want to. The next question I'm going to ask you is, by the end of 2022, would you expect that you're going to be healthy, happy, successful, and confident? What I find is whenever I ask this question in a live audience, everybody wants these things. Everybody wants success. They want achievement. They want health and happiness. But when I ask people, do you expect it? They often don't. Their hands go up very slowly, or they go, I don't. So many of us are conditioned that it doesn't happen to people like me, people in my family, people from my area, people from, you know, or it's something that somebody once said, a teacher once said, you'll never amount to much, or, you know, it's a weird thing that we get stuck with. So what I want to encourage people is to start dreaming, you know, because we want to talk about your dream career, but start having great expectations of your career. I know that the position I have now is not the final destination. I know there's still space in me. Each one of you, they could, you know, sort of, you know, we want to grow. We want to always feel like there's another place. So in life, in business, in whatever job we've got to sell ourselves every day. Am I putting my best foot forward? Am I, you know, showing confidence? Am I showing that I am happy to speak to whomever I need to speak to, or email, or whatever form of communication, if I'm on a Zoom call, that I participate? So it's kind of that 5 seconds of courage. I always say it takes 5 seconds of courage to say, can I say something? Or, hi, have you got a minute? You know, and I think so many people hold themselves back by feeling it's not my place and I can't do that. So I think confidence is so important. You've got to back yourself. Now, I went to a seminar once where they said, look at the person on your left. Okay, so everyone looked at the person on their left, everyone around the room, and they said, do you think that person has more likelihood of being hired or promoted than you? Some people looked at the stranger on their left and said, yeah, I think so. And I think that's terrible. No disrespect to that person. But we have known ourselves our whole lives. We've got to back ourselves. You know, so when your boss says, can you take on something? You don't go, I don't know how to do it. I would love to. Let me learn. You know, so often we sabotage ourselves by appearing timid, by not putting up our hands. And sometimes we don't volunteer, not because we have a bad attitude, but because we lack confidence. What if I do it wrong? But you know what? Let me tell you, a decent boss would say, you did it wrong, but thank you for trying. Let me show you. Or you could say, I'm really keen. Can you teach me? And I think that's what we want. So we've got to believe in ourselves. We've got to stop holding ourselves back, waiting for somebody to save us. We've got to save us. We've got to grow ourselves in the job. And even when you go for an interview, you're along 5 other people. Why should we hire you? It's not about how bad the others are. Well, actually, this is what makes me different. This is what makes me unique. And why should you be promoted? So I've often had people come to me for coaching and they've said, Cindy, how do I become more confident? So I'm going to share what I believe could help you become more confident. So the first thing is, we're talking about a dream career. Dreams, what is the word dreams? Dreams are not things that happen when we're sleeping. These are things that we think about. So I translate dreams into goals. Many people I know, when I say, show me your written goals, they just look at me and they go, no, my goals are in here. Goals, that's just dreams. That's just pie in the sky. Write the stuff down. Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Where do you want to be at the end of this year? What is stopping you? Maybe there's certain tiny, teeny little action steps you can do. Oh, I'm going to start a LinkedIn profile. I'm going to clean out my Instagram because there's some dodgy things there. I'm going to actually, I'm going to clean my shoes. I'm going to repair my dress because there's the hem is coming out and I always feel funny when I wear it. I'm going to start being friendly to my boss. I'm going to say thank you to that person. I'm going to become a better team player. I'm going to start learning online. I'm going to start learning something more. I'm going to sign up for a course. You know, a lot of the things we feel that life is holding us back, the potholes, the water, the electricity, our boss, South Africa. You know what? Nothing's holding us back except yourself, except how you think of yourself and how you believe in yourself. So we set goals. We set goals that we are a little bit scared of. That we do the mini action steps every day, asking yourself, is this taking me close to my goal or away from it? And then we start achieving goals. And guess what happens when you achieve something that you never thought you could? Every one of you on this call has achieved something at some point and you thought, I can't believe I did it. You felt great. Well, start doing that every day. Start doing micro goals. I'm going to start running 1 kilometer, then 2, then 3. I'm going to start speaking up at staff meetings, you know, at 5 seconds of courage. Surprise yourself. Make yourself proud. A lot of us, it's, oh, we're not engaged enough to do that. Well, then it's on us. Then maybe we don't want the dream career. Maybe we just want to be mediocre. And I know you don't want that. We all want more for ourselves. And then the weird thing about goal setting and achievement is it creates a virtuous cycle upwards. Suddenly, because I've created goals and I've set them and I've achieved them, suddenly I think, if I can do that, maybe I can do that. And then when I achieve that, I go, oh, maybe I can do that. And then all of a sudden, we're on an upward trajectory. And I just want to encourage people who've come from a past where they were told all their lives how useless they were, stupid, whatever you might have been told, that was probably somebody else's reflection of themselves, not you. And also, even if you felt like that, it's who you were. It's not who you are. So I coach people and I want to talk to you about excuses. You know how many people say, let me tell you the worst excuse in the world. It's just the way I am. You see somebody, yes. I've never learned, I've never been good at the computer. Well, that's the way you were. We can change. Remember I said, you're not a tree, move. You're not a rock. You can also change and grow. And that's the exciting thing about being human. But sometimes we forget that. We give up our power. So I would encourage you, be more assertive. You want to grow your confidence, do something scary. 5 seconds of courage. Courage is a muscle. Many of us never use it, so we don't know. And then when you say to your boss, please, I need to have 5 minutes with you in the boardroom or in your office, scary, but you walk out of there, they didn't eat you, you're still alive. Okay, what's next? Yes. I can do that. I can do the next thing. When that workplace bully says something to you and you go, no more, I'm done. Wow, you start feeling you start walking taller. How do you become more confident? You do the right thing. You do the thing you know you're supposed to do. You don't do the thing you know you're not supposed to do. It's that simple. Don't shirk. Don't take the shortcut. Don't lie. Don't cheat. These are basic things we were taught when we were 3 years old. And sometimes they get a bit murky. You know, the word integrity, Dr. Blom, is repeated acts. Integrity is what you do when you think nobody's watching you.
Yeah.
And some of us,
when you know nobody is watching, yeah.
Yes, you're working from home. Nobody knows that I'm having a nap or I'm drinking wine in my coffee cup or whatever. Whatever those things are, I don't know. And then to build confidence, I just want to do 2 or 3 or 4 more things. Set boundaries with people. Set boundaries. I know people who have no confidence, and as a result, they've become doormats. Their companies exploit them. They work day and night. They take emails all times of the day and night. That's not what a confident person does. A confident person will say, at this point, no more. I really think that's important to know. And to say affirmations every day. What are you saying to yourself? Mostly what we're saying is negative. Oh, I spilled my coffee. I'm so dumb. No, you know, you would never speak to your best friend like that. So start speaking to yourself like you would your best friend. As you go to work or as you are clicking onto your emails, say positive things. I'm strong, I'm confident, I'm smart, I'm engaged, I'm energetic. What are those words you want to say? And stop comparing. So I could look here and I look at Dr. Blom and I think, oh, I don't have a doctorate. Oh, I'm so dumb. No, nonsense. You know, I've got other skills. And remember that word, comparison is an act of violence against the self. You are you, I am me. Work your journey, walk your journey, own your journey. I think that's so important. And then along the way, if you want to build your confidence, set little achievements and set celebrations. Yay, I managed to do a great day today. I'm going to, sit and do something fun, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to whatever. I think it's so important to do that. And I just think for me, confidence is something we have to build one brick at a time. It doesn't just happen overnight. Somebody says, Sweet Boy says, I'm sexy. Well, that's fantastic. I think it's so true. Own it. And I think, I don't know, for me, I think another thing that I want to just say is so many people have a mindset that work is an enemy. Work is something you have to do. It's almost akin to either slavery, exploitation, or something negative. I'm so lucky and blessed that throughout my career, I've regarded work as the biggest privilege. It's a way to work in my purpose. It's a way to share my gift to the world. It's a way in which I get so much joy from. I don't think I ever want to retire because I just love work so much. I also love fun. But there's a saying, work is so much more fun than fun. But I think if you're doing it right, if you're doing it with the right attitude, that's what it should be. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Blom. I'm not sure if you've got any questions or comments. Should we go through? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yes, thanks. Okay, so I think they're just a brilliant comment, So as you said, there's a difference between going an extra mile and allowing your boss to exploit you. Your mental well-being is very important. Once you lose it, your company will get somebody else to exploit. Now, I think that's so true. And that's the point about setting boundaries, not being unwilling to go the extra mile, but also, enforcing respect in a certain sense. And you've got to do that for yourself as well. You've got to say to yourself, I am not going to allow that. I am not going to be constantly engaged on my email or on whatever. For example, I decided I will never put my work email on my phone because I know if it's on my phone, I'll just be working all the time.
Exactly.
And then you never give yourself a break. And it's not as if I don't like my work. I love it, love what I'm doing. But you can't just be engaged all the time. You have to say, all right, let's just give myself some, breathing space as well. So I think one needs to do that because it's so easy to get sucked into constantly being, what's the word, connected. And sometimes you need to be disconnected just to get a check on yourself.
Absolutely. So there's so much, there's so much at the moment where so many people are actually burnt out. They're depressed, they're burnt out. And it's been, I think for a lot of people, it started with a fear-based motivation where, gosh, we've gone through COVID. I need to show that I'm available. I need to show I'm committed.
Yeah,
but that's gotten to a point where, so I think, I love that saying, teach people how to treat you. So if you've somehow gotten into this terrible cycle where everybody just expects you to be available, start creating that line in the sand and say, no more. From this point on, I will do, obviously it's nice to go the extra mile. We all need to do that, but not when it's the point where it's taking over your whole life. I coached a lady the other day. She said she cannot ever be more than 4 seconds away from her phone because of her job. And I said to her, you're not a paramedic.
That's awful.
You're not an air traffic controller. Stop being so self-important. And I think it's important, that we so you teach people how to treat you. So say your boss sends you emails at 9 at night, don't answer them. Answer them the next morning at 8. I think that's so important as well. Somebody's asked, how do you improve on public speaking? You improve by speaking. So I think it's so important that you just take any and every opportunity to say, can I speak? Can I say something? The more you do speaking in public, the better you get. I'm not a big fan of people doing courses in public speaking. I think the best thing is to do it, maybe even practice with friends, use any opportunity to speak, and eventually you'll get better. It'll take time, but you'll get better.
I mean, the tip for me always has been prepare what you want to say. Know what you want to talk about. And, for me, nothing is unscripted. Obviously, you build up a wealth of experience and so on, and then it's easy to ad lib, if you like. But I never dishonor my guests or my audience by not preparing to talk to them. You know, so I think that is just always critical, is to make sure that you know what you want to say and how to say it. So, and even practice it then, yeah. So let's just say that one or two more. Okay, no, it's just people who are saying thank you.
Let's see something here. How do I make myself stand out in an interview? I think you stand out by just not having the mistakes. So being on time, being prepared, preparing questions. You know, so many candidates don't prepare questions. So when the employer says any questions, they go, no, surely you're interviewing them too, you know. So that also shows a certain amount of confidence. Don't have any sort of things against you, like not being, you know, I mean, like for instance, being badly dressed and not bringing your CV with you, not knowing what the job is about, not knowing what the company is about. So just be prepared, do some homework before, because you've only got one chance to make that first impression. So yeah, I think that would be my 2 cents worth on that matter.
Okay, I think, you know, everybody's just saying thanks very much. And I think there's lots of tips about what else we can talk about, Cindy. So this won't be the last session that we have together. I can see that there's a great need for people just to express and to engage on these particular issues. So just before we say goodbye, it is time almost. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much, Cindy, for your ever-present, you know, engagement with us. And we really appreciate all of that you've done for us. So for the people on the call, just as a reminder, there will be that book. Show us your book, Cindy. Where's your book?
Here it is. And it's written as a woman in business, going, how do you do everything? Manage business, family, life, and everything. The answer is not very well at all, and that's okay. And it's lots of tips I've learned. And
okay, yeah, fabulous. I'm looking forward to yeah, fabulous. And this was written now during COVID, hey?
It was written during COVID, definitely. Yes. And I've sent my email address there if anyone wants to email me, cindy@proappoint.co.za.
Type it up, Cindy at proappoint.co.za.
Thank you. Right? Thank you, Dr. Blom. It's been wonderful to be here and to chat to the delegates. It's really been awesome.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, everyone. And thank you very much for joining. We'll speak again soon. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Bye-bye.